Okay, now one of the things that you're going to need to be able to do with all of this factoring is when you have a rational expression, how do you factor things out, cancel them, and figure out what values can't be in the denominator? Well, I hope all of you know that the one number that can never be in the denominator is 0. So if we were just in this example right here and state what values it can't be, n cannot equal 0 because 0 to the fourth is still 0. 0 times 3 is 0. So 0 in this case is the only number that can apply. So that's how you find the excluded values. 0 can never be in the denominator, so whatever value will zero out the denominator, that's what the excluded value means. Now the simplify means, well, look at the numerator, look at the denominator. What is the one thing that they all share? They all share a 3. So we cancel, or a better way to do that, here, let me cross that out. In the numerator up here, they all share a 3. So I'm going to do the reverse distributed. I'm going to put 3 on the outside, so that leaves n squared, if we cross those out, plus n. When the whole thing crosses off, well, 3 divided by 3 is 1, so we put a 1 there. All of this is over 3 into the fourth. Well, guess what? Now those two factors can cancel out, leaving the final answer n squared plus n plus 1 all over into the fourth, and still the excluded factor 0 is the only thing to the fourth that would still be 0. So let's try this over here. So we have a trinomial divided by a binomial. So before we can do anything, remember this is one thing and this is one thing. Well, so we do the t-chart. A times c, so 1 times negative 14 is negative 14. Factors of a times c have to add up to b. The b value is negative 5. So you're either going to have negative 14, since this is a negative, and this is a negative, one of the factors has to be positive, and one of the factors has to be negative over here. The bigger one's going to have to be negative because the b value is negative. So we either have negative 14 times positive 1 or negative 7 times positive 2. That's the answer right there. So because the leading coefficient is 1, that will factor to v subtract 7, v plus 2, and that goes over v plus 2. Oh, look at those two factors are the same. That's the exact same thing as if we said 3 times v minus 7 over 3. The 3's would cancel out, leaving v minus 7. Now we have a parentheses of v plus 2, the numerator, 1 in the denominator. It's multiplication up there. They can cancel out. The result is v minus 7. But look at what we have to find, the excluded values. So remember, you have to figure out what would make the denominator 0. Well, it says v plus 2. What's the opposite of 2? Negative 2. So we know that v cannot equal negative 2. And what we do know is that up here, the two possible answers were v could equal 7, if all of this equaled 0 over here, v could equal 7, and or v could equal negative 2. That one's not going to work because we already know v can't equal negative 2. So this right here, so v is equal to 7 is the only possible answer. And that's how it's done. I'm going to try another couple with you. M minus 3 over m squared plus 2m subtract 15. Well, this one's already factored. I'm going to put that in parentheses. We just have to factor that. I can kind of eyeball that. 1 times negative 15 is negative 15. We're going to have to add up to positive 2. So the factors, one will have to be negative and one will have to be positive. The bigger one will have to be positive. So I automatically know that that's going to be positive 5, negative 3. So this is going to be m minus 3 in the numerator. And then we've got m plus 5, m minus 3. Again, these two things are the same. Well, when the numerator cancels out and everything's gone, remember, it always leaves that invisible 1. So the answer is going to be 1 over m plus 5. So we have to be really careful. We have to think about what the excluded values are. When we look at the excluded values, we have to look at both of these, not just the final solution. So, in the first set of parentheses, we have m plus 5. To zero that out, we would have to, the opposite of 5 is negative 5. So m cannot equal negative 5. And then m subtract 3, the opposite of subtract 3 is add 3, so 3 subtract 3. So m cannot equal positive 3. I don't think we have anything that's going to work there. In this scenario. Well, that's kind of, anyway, we will end up getting back to that. There will be a solution that we'll get into later, but that's how you find excluded values. You look in the denominator, whatever will zero out inside each set of parentheses, and whatever zeroes it out, those are the excluded values. Let's see, we're going to try one more. Let's try this one. 7x squared minus 21x over x minus 3. This one's a little bit easier because it's not a trinomial in the numerator denominator. This is already done. Well, all we have to do is, here, we're going to do the prime factorization. So the numerator's 7 times x, subtract, well, that's 3 times 7 times x. And then I'm still going to leave this x minus 3. Well, they have a 7 and an x in common, a 7 and an x in common. So we're going to, I'm going to do that up here. We're going to pull that, do the reverse distributive, and what is left is, oh, look at x minus 3 x minus 3. Those are factors that are pairs in the numerator and denominator. We can cancel the, leaving 7x as the answer, but we have to find the excluded value. What zeroes out the x? Well, the opposite of negative 3 is positive 3. So x in this situation cannot equal positive 3. There you go. We're done.